The Dutch Grand Prix at Assen will be remembered for many reasons, though most of them are tied to the on-track action. Marc Marquez made a bold statement, proving once again that only he could throw away the chance at a 7th MotoGP title. By dominating both the sprint and main races with a stunning double victory. In other classes, Diogo Moreira delivered Brazil's first-ever win in Moto2, while José Antonio Rueda moved one step closer to securing a well-deserved Moto3 title. These were all significant achievements, but arguably, the real drama in the Netherlands unfolded not on the circuit, but in the paddock and MotoRHOMES. The most intense spotlight, continuing a saga from recent months, fell on the escalating conflict between Jorge Martin and Aprilia. The dispute centers on differing interpretations of a contract clause signed a year ago. This conflict has grown increasingly complex, and with more stakeholders now involved, reconciliation between the reigning world champion and the Noel-based manufacturer seems more unlikely than ever. The crisis is unfolding on two levels. One is public, visible in statements made by both sides on and off the track. The other is private, handled behind closed doors by lawyers and cloaked in NDAs that keep curious eyes and ears at bay. At Assen, Martin, still recovering from an injury suffered in Qatar, made the first move via his manager, Albert Valera. Valera gave a series of interviews to various media outlets to clarify his interpretation of the release clause, which he claims allows Martin to negotiate with and sign for another team for the 2026 season. He stressed that once the clause was triggered, Martin became free to commit to any team he wished, and Honda is clearly among the top contenders. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a calculated move meant to stir the pot and send a strong signal to HRC that Martin's ambition to wear the Golden Wings was still very much alive. It was a bold declaration of intent, designed to provoke a formal offer from Honda. But the plan unraveled within 24 hours, thanks to Dorna CEO Carmelo Ezpeleta, who stepped in to halt the path being forged by the reigning champion. Like Valera the day before, Ezpeleta appeared in front of the cameras to issue a stern warning. He stated clearly that under Dorna, MSM, the Manufacturers Association, and IRTA, the Teams Association, no rider can be registered in MotoGP unless they are legally free, either through mutual agreement or a court ruling. Aprilia insists it holds a valid contract with Martin. Martin claims he's a free agent. For Dorna to recognize a new agreement, either both sides must agree or a judge must decide, according to MotoRSPORT.com. Dorna's recent acquisition by Liberty Media influenced Ezpeleta's decision to intervene and restore order. Aprilia used the opportunity to underscore that the promoters' words reinforced their stance. Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola said their original intention was to remain neutral, but Carmelo's statement effectively compelled them to take a firmer position. Rivola emphasized Ezpeleta's message was crystal clear: no rider can sign with another manufacturer while still under contract. What was new in Rivola's remarks, however, was his first public acknowledgement of the possibility that Martin might leave Aprilia in 2026. He stated that their priority was to retain the rider, but if that proved impossible, they would sit down to negotiate a mutual agreement or resolve the issue in court. Meanwhile, Honda team manager Alberto Puig also weighed in, stressing that HRC deals directly with riders, not manufacturers, and that Martin, through his agent, had informed them he was free to sign for 2026. Puig reiterated that Honda has no intention of getting entangled in a dispute involving a rider still under contract. But if the rider claims he is free, then he is free in their eyes. Honda speaks to riders, and if they feel the need to speak with Martin, they will, and they will rely on his word. At this point, everything hinges on timing, and Aprilia holds the cards. Given the growing tension, it's hard to imagine Martin riding the Aprilia RSGP next year. That scenario would likely be more damaging for Aprilia than for the rider himself, who would be forced to race on a bike he no longer believes in, risking damage to the brand's image. But this doesn't necessarily place the Italian manufacturer at a disadvantage. Martin is eager to resolve the issue swiftly, but legal proceedings are rarely swift. The fact that the trial would take place in Italy raises concerns for Martin, both because of potential local biases and the likelihood of drawn-out timelines. Winning a court case in mid-2026 won't do him much good. Martin's urgent push to sign with HRC contrasts starkly with Aprilia's slow and calculated approach, because they are fully aware that they alone control when and how this entire affair will conclude.